Hello, my name is Scott Davis and welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for May 3rd to May 9th of 2015. And on May 3rd, we have the sun. You can see it denoted here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's in Taurus and it's in the 24th hexagram. And on the outside of the wheel, we can see the chop mark for the 24th hexagram, numbered from bottom to top. The 24th goes yang, yin, 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 yin. And then the 24th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right up here is the 24th gate of rationalizing, returning the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal, located in the ajna center in an individual energy path in the knowing circuit called the channel of awareness, a design of a thinker that connects to its harmonic, the 61st gate of mystery, inner truth, the awareness of universal principles. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on May 3rd. We've got the sun in the 24th gate, with the earth in the 44th gate. The north node is in the 48th gate, with the south node in the 21st gate. Mercury is in the 20th gate, with Venus in the 12th gate, and Mars is in the 23rd gate. Jupiter is in the 7th gate. Saturn is retrograde in the 34th gate. Uranus is in the 51st gate. Neptune is in the 37th gate. And Pluto is retrograde in the 54th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your body graph. And the neutrino forecast is just a weather report. And whatever the weather, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru Hu said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And as we begin the week, we've got one channel definition due to the transit field, with Mercury in the 20th gate and Saturn in the 24th gate. We've got the channel of charisma until May 5th. And this will influence us to become more busy in the now, where things we think about might become the experiences that we're having. Expect folks to be deeply involved in their daily activities and unaware of the expectations of others. People are not likely to even notice how busy they are, with the possibility of erupting spontaneously without the awareness of why. They may be in their own little world, out of sight, out of mind. This also affects non-generator types and feeling busy and having the endurance to work. Obviously, that's conditioning. Don't get used to it. This may also have affect projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, thinking that they know when enough is enough, which could lead to a premature or abrupt ending to something that really needs more time. And as individual circuitry, this definition brings melancholy, that blue feeling that we get, which when we experience it, it's really best to be used as fuel for some type of creative activity. And we're going to be looking at the sun's ravaging line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ross said in Living with the Program, The Lines of the Day, when talking about these daily shifts in line values, he said, we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. Of course, if your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always just notice how the program's affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. On May 3rd, we begin the day with the sun. It's in the 6th line of the 24th hexagram. The sun in the 24-6 is the gift horse, the possibility of being deaf when opportunity knocks. Exalted, the conscious participation in a process that prepares one for easy identification with opportunity. Identification and focus with the rational thought process. Detrimented innate suspicion, which leads inevitably to lost opportunities. Often irrational suspicion that distorts the focus and can lead to missed opportunities. And 6-line days, we're up on the roof of the hexagram, and the energy of that 6-line energy is to look at what's coming next, what's beyond the current hexagram. It's looking at what's going to be the next one. And then later on the 3rd, the sun then moves into the next hexagram. So it leaves the 24th gate, and it moves into the 2nd gate, and the Earth moves out of the 44th gate, and it moves into the 1st gate. So we've got the Earth is in the 1st gate of self-expression, the creative. Creation is a primal force, the energy and potential to manifest inspiration without limitation. And this shift happens at 8:31 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun is in the 2nd gate of higher knowing, the receptive, receptivity as a primal base through which any response is determined, the root of action. The sun in the 1st line of the 2nd hexagram is intuition, sensitivity to disharmony and atrophy. Exalted, the importance of aesthetics, whether inborn or acquired. Higher knowing through aesthetics. Detrimented, the assertion of ego in spite of wisdom, the urge for action that will ignore the wisdom of the higher self. And when we've got this, we're in a new hexagram, and when the sun is in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd lines, the lower trigram, the people are more looking inward. They're more absorbed in their own process. The 1st line themes are a fear or an anxiety that needs to be investigated. So it's a day to study, not to act. It's a day to look into things, not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or don't know. I mean, basically, the energy is good for some form of research. And when the sun enters into the 2nd hexagram, we begin the quarter of civilization, which is at the most yin location in the wheel. Basically, we're looking at 6 yin lines in the 2nd hexagram. This is the feminine, the mother, the birth of civilization emerging from the womb. This is still the program, so it's the mind's interpretation of what the form should be doing in order to survive. The quarter of civilization is described as from womb to room. And then on the 4th, the sun then moves into the 2nd line. So leaving the line of the investigator, moving into the hermit line, again, 2nd hexagram, with the shift happening at 7:44 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 2nd line of the 2nd hexagram is described as genius, unconscious and unlearnable alignment of stimulus and response, the natural. Exalted, the inner strength to focus and realize, a natural gift for unlearnable knowing. Detrimented, genius as madness, knowledge exclusively as power for the enhancement of the ego, the delusion that knowledge is power. And on 2nd line days, in the line of the hermit, people are waiting for something. They're waiting to be called, particularly called because of their natural talents. So people are stuck in their own trip. Again, as I've said before, it might not be a great day to have a big social event because folks are really, wanting to be more of a homebody than engage in socialization under the influence of the 2nd line energy. And then also on the 4th, Mars moves from the 23rd hexagram and into the 8th hexagram and gate, which then brings us a definition here and a defined G center as well as the throat that's already defined. Let's talk about Mars. It's in the gate of contribution, holding together the basic worth realized in holding individual efforts to group goals. And Mars is in the first line of the eighth hexagram, which is honesty, the truthful acceptance of limitation, and the recognition that it can only be transcended through sharing. Exalted the awareness that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, knowing that the creative expression must be honestly communicated and shared. Detrimented withdrawal and the fear of losing individuality in a group environment. The design to share creativity at the expense of individuality. And Ross spoke about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. Mars represents the warrior archetype, and by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Mars from immaturity to wisdom. And with Mars in the eighth gate and hexagram, and the Earth in the first gate and hexagram, this transit brings us the channel of inspiration. The energy will be present until the ninth, which will be a time period when people have the courage to stand out from the crowd by being their authentic self. This is very creative and is exhibited as self-expression in their own unique way. As an individual channel, it brings empowerment to those who model being different and inspirational. You might expect folks to dress differently from the crowd. The defined G center could influence folks without to obsess about where they're heading and where they will find love. On the 5th, the sun then moves into the third line. So leaving the hermit line into the martyr line, again, of the second hexagram. The shift happening at 6:58 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the third line of the second hexagram is patience, the teacher who never stops being a student. Exalted dedication to a lifetime of receptivity with the maturity to accept that the process never ends. The recognition that receptivity is a lifelong process. Detrimented for the revolutionary, patience is a vice. Higher knowing cannot wait and demands expression. And third line days in the line of the martyr. When we think about the martyr, we're talking about a trial and error process and bonds made and broken and a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. And things bump into us under the third line energy. So it's a day to be careful on the roads. Be careful of things in your environment, whether it's a swinging door or an elbow. We might have bonds made or we might have bonds broken. It's a good material day. It could be a good day to do business. But again, being careful that things can go wrong, but ultimately that those lead to a discovery. And then also on the 5th, Mercury moves from the 20th gate in hexagram to the 16th. So this creates a different channel definition here. With the throat still defined. Let's see if I can find one that's going to make the gap and stick better. All right. But we no longer have the defined sacral center here. But we do have a defined splenic center with this channel. All right, let's talk about Mercury. Mercury in mythology was the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication, expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music, according to Ra. And what do we need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 16th gate? Well, this might be where we might hear people say, "I experiment," and ... fill in the blank. Because that's the voice of the 16th gate. This is the gate of skills, enthusiasm, the great art of enriching life by the harmonic channeling of energy. And Mercury is detrimented in the first line of the 16th hexagram as delusion, false enthusiasm, detriment to public communication of inevitably unrealized claims, the tendency to express fantasy as fact. And with Mercury in the 16th gate and the North Node in the 48th gate, we've got the channel of the wavelength, the design of talent until the 6th. This is a collective logic channel, which for folks who have this in their charts is about reaching some level of mastery through practice. This channel is about caring skills. Given the short period, 24 hours or so, that this will be defined by the program, it's really hard to consider how this is going to condition people. We might find folks who are engaged in the repetition of some type of creativity to make gradual improvement. Collective logic creativity is really different from individual creativity in that it is creativity that is earned through hard work and commitment that is shared with the collective. Whereas individual creativity, which we see with the channel of inspiration here, is more about being empowered in the now. So the defined splenic center brings intuition and well-being. Ra warned that non-splenic people maybe let go of something that is good for them during a transit that defines the splenic center. And then on the 6th, the sun then moves into the 4th line of the second hexagram at 6:12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and is described as secretiveness, more than modesty, the ability to preserve harmony through discretion, exalted the higher goals transcend personal acclaim, the team player, acknowledged as a leader but never captain, where higher knowing does not have to be expressed to be recognized. Detrimented loose lips sink ships. The unquenchable fire of the ego engenders anonymity, the instability to keep silent when opportunity arises for expression. And 4th line days, we've moved out of the lower trigram, 1st, 2nd, 3rd lines, into the upper trigram, 4th, 5th, 6th lines. And so this shift really brings a shift in perspective, which the lower trigram being more inward and the upper trigram more looking outward, with the 4th line themes of friendship, companionship, networking. 4th line days are great for social interaction. People are more open to networking and being friendly and social. And then also on the 6th, the North Node moves from the 48th gate and to the 18th. And the South Node moves out of the 21st gate and into the 17. So, we've also then got the Venus moving out of the 12th gate, and it moves into the 15. So quite a bit of movement on the 6 here. And that all looks correct. So let's go through these first. Ra talked about the nodes being an opening for neutrino energy from outside of our solar system and to be representative of our environment. And the nodes are almost always retrograde, meaning they're almost always moving in reverse from our perspective here on the Earth. So this shift happens, represents moving from the first line of the 48th hexagram into the 6th line of the 18th hexagram. So it's moving from the first line of one hexagram into the 6th line of the previous hexagram. So the North Node in the 18th gate is activating the energy of correction, work on what's been spoiled, the vigilance and determination to uphold and defend basic and fundamental human rights. And in the 17, we've got the south node in the gate of opinions, following the ancient law that those who wish to rule must know how to serve. And then with Venus moving from the 12th to the 15th gate, in human design, Venus is deeply powerful, also deeply misunderstood according to Ra. It brings morality or values, natural law in which we deal with the other, and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you at a moral level. Well, your design and personality Venuses tell us about the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life, and that if you don't act with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in its retribution. In the 15, Venus is in the gate of extremes, modesty, the quality of behavior, which expresses the proper balance between extremes. Venus is exalted in the first line of the 15 as duty, the ability to confront any challenge without expectations, exalted harmonic relationships, which give support to support for the fulfillment of any tasks, the capacity of the self to be to confront any challenge through extreme and harmonic relationships. On the 7th, the sun then moves up into the 5th line, out of the opportunist line into the heretic line of the second hexagram at 5:27 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 5th line of the second gate is intelligent application, exalted, reasoned management of resources, higher knowing as a gift for strategy, detrimented the inability to share responsibility or recognize the abilities of others. Higher knowing that is exclusively an individual and selfish process. The 5th line, this is the line of the heretic. The most important thing to understand about the 5th line is it's about projection. Projection that always goes positive, then negative. Positive being they could do it, they're the perfect person for this, whatever it is. And then if the person doesn't do it, can't do it, for whatever reason they don't meet the expectation, then the projection turns negative. The heretic gets tied to the stake. So with the projection field, the things that we'll see as themes of the 5th line day are, a day of suspicion, but also universalization, where something can spread like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video or a Facebook post. People often talk about there being paranoia associated with the 5th line day. I've got to say that if they are projecting on you, if they are out to get you, it really isn't paranoia then, is it? Obviously, this can impact the nature of relationships with the projection field. Seduction also being a theme of the 5th line day. And on the 8th, the sun then moves up into the 6th line. So we're leaving the heretic line into the role model line on the roof of the hexagram. Again, second gate. Shift happening at 4:43 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 6th line of the second hexagram is fixation, unable and unwilling to see the whole process, exalted. The intellect becomes absorbed in constant rationalization, higher knowing that is extremely narrow in its receptivity, detrimented. The need for security may distort awareness to its ultimate perversion, destructiveness, the higher self absorbed with the mundane and the need for security. And the 6th line days, as we talked about before, it's on the roof of the hexagram. If you think about being on the roof of your house or a building, we don't tend to be looking at the building so much as what's going on in the neighborhood, what's around us, what's coming next. Ra talked about on 6-line days not to get stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll end up with something banging into your shins or your kneecaps. It's a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around us because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. And like 3rd-line days, there could be certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming. And then on the 9th, the sun moves from the 2nd hexagram, and it moves up into the 23rd hexagram, and the Earth moves from the 1st hexagram and gate and up into the 43rd. So bringing us another channel definition here. So let's make sure everything looks right. Yep. So let's see. First of all, we've got the Earth moving from the 1st hexagram to the 43rd hexagram, and the gate of insight, breakthrough. In order for achievement to be maintained, a new order must be fairly established. This shift happens at 3:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, with the sun in the 23rd gate of assimilation, splitting apart amorality, the awareness and understanding which leads to the acceptance of diversity. And in the 1st line of the 23rd, the sun is in proselytization, the attempt to undermine one set of values for another, exalted, the sage who in the extreme can defend evil as part of the greater good, the powerful expression of an insight which will undermine established values, detriment of the missionary whose very light will bring darkness. The powerful expression of an insight will produce negative effects. And again, lower trigram here, so that this is more looking at an inward process with, of course, the 1st line investigator themes of fear or an anxiety that triggers a need to be researched, a need to study, a need to find the information that will allow that anxiety to be released. And with the Sun-Earth axis in the 2343, we have the channel of structuring, and this is one of the 3 channels that are defined by the polarities. Having the transiting bodies in the opposite, 180 degrees apart from each other in the wheel. The other ones being the 3740 and the 3420. So we've got the sun is in the 23rd, the Earth is in the 43rd gate, and the channel of structuring will be with us until May 15th. This is about individuals having amazing insights that require 2 conditions to be fulfilled to be recognized by others. First, the person who has an epiphany needs to wait to be invited to share his or her insight. And second, they need to be able to explain their idea in a step-by-step process so that their audience can methodically understand how this quantum leap in thinking was arrived at. So no matter, so most likely during this time period, we're going to hear people who blurt out whatever's on their minds instead of waiting to be invited, and who just give the beginning and the ending without filling in the details in between. So given that, I would suspect we're going to be seeing a lot more people who are acting as freaks than seen as geniuses. So anyway, no matter what the energies that are conditioning you during the week, just remember this experience is about being a passenger who's riding in a vehicle that's being driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. We're all here giving the performance of a lifetime on this world stage. Just take some time to observe the play as well as act your part. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on May 10th. 2015. It should be available on the 9th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, and I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose. And I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or you wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. And as always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh. And as Ra would say, love yourself. Look forward to connecting with you in future videos or in a reading. And gratitude to everybody. Peace.